Oh god, oh god, oh god, spider, spider, spider. There was a spider. It was big though. It was big, spider. Segway. Okay, if you don't know by now, then you clearly didn't read the title of this. It's right there. Or there. Maybe there. Maybe it's down here. I don't know how your phone or computer's set up. Maybe you messed it all up. Whatever you do. Thanks for clicking on this video. Okay. This is the Amazing Spider-Man 2. The continuation of Marvel. Or no, not Marvel. Marvel doesn't own this. No, this is Sony's continuation of the last Spider-Man. Spider-Man does whatever a Spider-Man can. That's good. They actually do play that song in the movie, but they don't play the lyrics, but they have Spider-Man singing it and it's his ringtone. I'm like, or at least whistling it. And I'm thinking, this is fantastic. That's great. Great little detail. Okay, so this is Sony's new movie, where they realized, hey, a lot of people didn't like how the last one was so dark most of the time. And it really doesn't make that much sense. I didn't see it as dark as much. Because you got a guy swinging around in spandex, making jokes. Ooh. Yeah, if you're going to try and make something dark, make it something that can actually be darker. I guess they changed the eyes and the costumes a little darker. But it didn't really work for me as much. I enjoyed the last film, I said that. But this one, they realized, hey, let's make enough changes so it's lighter and dark when it needs to be dark. It's fantastic, I think. Fantastic little thing. This is what the fans want. This is what we're going to get them. Ta-da! Okay. So, The Amazing Spider-Man 2, how was it? Well, let's get down to the core of it. First off, Spider-Man, there's a bit of a few subplots here and there. I'm guessing you're all excited to see the Rhino. That, I don't think that, everyone's really going, oh, the Rhino, yay. Maybe, I don't know. I was personally fantastic. I was thinking fantastic, I mean, Electro. There we go. I am rhyming. Head to toe. I don't know what rhymes would go after that. I could have said that sentence. Please leave me a comment below so I could not look like an idiot next time. No. But okay, so Peter Parker's having to deal with being a superhero who can be witty, which is fantastic. I gotta say, he is the best Spider-Man. He's better than Tobey Maguire's because he doesn't always look like he's about to poop himself when he's doing something. Yeah. I'm sorry, Tobey. You were good. I like him better. And personally, I think he's a better Peter Parker. I mean, yeah, you saw Spider-Man go to class, the last one. You didn't really see him do anything with it. Here, he actually is really... There's one scene where he actually has to change his web shoes. He actually develops it. He has to add all the stuff. I'm like, thank you. You're actually doing science. Experimenting. Last one didn't do that. He actually pieced stuff together. He's really smart in this one. I can't say much for Tobey. I mean, he looked the part. That's why I didn't... And I'm kind of like, you don't really see him as socially... in the beginning, yeah, he was pretty socially awkward, it seemed. Where in his own little bubble, yeah, he's all cool and stuff, but he's not that popular. I'm like, yeah, that's a nerd. they've updated it. It makes sense. Now, I don't know, he just doesn't seem as socially awkward most of the time. Sometimes, I guess, but that was the only problem. He didn't look the part. You know, he just didn't look like he... I guess a lot of people could spike their hair up, so it makes sense, actually. It all depends on what your personal preference is. So, go Spidey go. Go Spidey go! That was a weird scene from that other movie. No, Spider-Man. Okay. So, now we got Andrew Garfield being a great Spider-Man and a good Peter Parker, except for the look. Sometimes I can overlook that because he looks pretty good in his part of being Peter Parker. And he's having to deal with being a superhero, balancing, should I fall in love with Gwen? Because her dad died because of me and I made this promise. And I'm like, yeah, that's a problem. And then he starts seeing her dad and all that stuff. And then he has to figure out what happened to his dad, as they hinted in the last one. The big selling point was... the untold story, which they didn't go that in depth about. What? Yeah, and it was good, but so they kind of pushed that to the side. I feel like they could have added more into that, add some of this, and then put it in the third somehow. But it was pretty cool getting a resolution to that. I'm like, yeah, okay. Not completely sure, but yeah, okay, I followed. So, then you got that. So he's trying to balance this and figure out what happened to his parents, and have some great moments with Sally Field playing Aunt May, which she was great. She's not the old, now Peter, you're doing stuff. She's all, get me some eggs, get me some eggs. Nah, just kidding. But she was really great in the role. She's actually proactive in this movie. That's what I like about this movie series. All the characters are actually proactive, you know? And then you have Emma Stone playing Gwen Stacy. Thank you. Thank you, Mark Webb, who is the perfect name for a director of Spider-Man movies. Thank you for making the female not be completely useless. She actually helps in this one. She doesn't need to all the time because it's like, okay. But it's good. I'm like, thank you. And sometimes like, okay, that's a stupid idea. You don't really need to do that. But that's what I didn't like about Mary Jane Watson, the last one. She just constantly got herself into trouble. Oh my god. I don't care. I just don't when you're just that character who keeps on getting into trouble. Whoops, they captured me again. Uh-oh. No. She actually helps him along the way, just like in the first movie. She helps him do this stuff. It was much better. Now, let's get to some of the villains. Dane DeHaan plays Harry Osborn, later turning into the Green Goblin. That's not a spoiler because you all know from the commercials if you've seen them. Otherwise, why are you watching this video if you don't know that the movie came out, unless you're really weird and you knew the movie came out without commercial? I don't know what you do. Whatever. Okay, so he plays a great Green Goblin, I think. And at first I'm like, okay, you can see his face turn a greenish color, and yeah, it's a goblin. Now I noticed that they had these little clip things that went on his ears. they actually made him long. I'm like, oh, okay, that's a great subtle detail that makes him look goblin-like. It actually looked great. Then you got Jamie Foxx as Electro. Wow. Man, this guy was good. I mean, Jamie Foxx is a pretty good actor, I think. And here he really brought depth to the character. And I saw this one trailer thing where the guy's talking about it. And he's like, oh, I see. They took Electro, the brightest, most colorful character, and reduced him to a hoodie. He's not always wearing a hoodie. And I'm like, yes, you want to be walking around in a bright green suit with little electricity bolt cutouts on his head? You're going to sound like an idiot. Going to a board saying, okay guys, got the best design for Electro. We're going to do it just like the comics. He's not going to look anything like someone normally would walk around in. No, that's stupid. Here we got the sort of that guy who no one looks at, and he's crazy about Spider-Man. Like, I do think crazy is the word. But then Spider-Man acknowledges him, and he's like, oh my gosh, Spider-Man, whoa. Then boom, big accident. He turns into Electro and all this stuff. He's so confused in the beginning. He's like, no, please, don't hurt me, this is my fault. What? And it's great. I'm just like, okay, yeah. This is sad. I knew the end, it was, yeah, I don't know. But he was great. And then they really, the stories, what everyone's complaining about, how it seemed clustered. I didn't talk about the writer because I'll probably talk about it in a spoiler review. Watch that. Then you got the story where Peter Parker's finding out all the stuff about the untold story, which was supposed to be told in the last movie, not really told, slightly hinted about. I still enjoyed the movie. Yay. Okay, so you got him doing all his Spider-Man stuff, bouncing all the stuff from slight freakouts. And I gotta say, there are some scenes in here where, there's a scene where he helps stop something as Peter Parker, and he walks away, just feeling all smug. He jumps up in the air and clicks his feet. I'm like, okay. Did you just do that, Andrew Garfield? Come on. I guess that's nerdy, but, no one does that. That's strange, man. Unless you're just really, like, yeah, I feel fantastic, don't care anything. Maybe, I don't know, you do what you do. I'll do what I'm doing right now. And probably some other stuff. I should start doing that. So you got him trying to balance all the stuff, and Electro trying to figure out what's going on and realizing that they're not realizing, he thinks Spider-Man betrayed him, all this stuff, and all this stuff is going wrong. So he starts fighting back, and they have some great action sequences, which I really love the dubstep. I don't usually like dubstep. Sometimes, I don't know. But this one, whenever Electro was on screen fighting, they usually have this dubstep music, and I'm like, that's the perfect soundtrack for the villain who's using electricity, electro music. Electro music. No, seriously, it is great. And then you got all these different things lining up till they had great things. I mean, some of the characters felt a little shoehorned in, but barely. The story had some flaws, I guess, but I couldn't really, there were some questions, like in the end, why does Electro find a suit perfectly fitting for him that manages to have electricity bolts on the side? That doesn't make sense, I don't know, and it's, I don't know. But you really built up a story, and I think this possibly is the best Spider-Man movies I've seen. I like the other ones. 3, I don't really know. I haven't seen that in a while. Don't remember anything good about it. Eventually, you see it, and you're like, okay, that is sort of good, and then you're like, never mind. I can't remember anything good. I just remember Peter Parker dance scene. I guess they all have something they do that's weird. Okay. So you get all these great action sequences. This is a great movie, personally. You know. By the way, you all need to see it in the 3rd dimension. I saw it in 3D. Whoa. It's like I can touch it. I saw it in 3D, and I'm actually like, in the beginning, I'm like, I just moved because he shot a web at me. That's a fantastic sign. If someone shoots a web at me, and I move in a 3D movie, that means I can actually feel it. It's great. And so I would suggest seeing that in 3D. It's great. And you can actually, how come the first movie they didn't get perspective shots from Spider-Man? That was great. The other movies, or like the other Mark Webb movie, where you can actually see from his point of view. I'm like, thank you. So I think this is a huge improvement from the last movie. I didn't hate the last movie. I like it. I own it. But I think this was a great improvement. You know, so they improved the costume, even that. They did have some things where I question, I'm like, that doesn't make sense. Why does Peter Parker's shoes have a bottom, or Peter Parker's Spider-Man outfit have a bottom to it? Because then how could he stick to the wall as much? I never got that. But yeah, I suggest you go see it. I get that there's a lot of people who didn't like it. Someone's saying something about emotional manipulation. I'm like, every movie has that. That's a stupid argument. Okay? I'm just gonna be honest. Don't use manipulation for emotions is your argument. Okay, to the epic rating scale of epicness. Just kidding. It's the awesome rating scale of epicness. I'll just do what I want. So, this movie, I acknowledge it has its flaws, but I think the good drastically outweighs the bad. And I do believe this is the best Spider-Man movie I've seen. Personally, I'm going to give it an own it. It was really high. I wanted to go for extra for special edition, which I do believe we bought a super ticket, so I feel, but yeah, I'm definitely gonna try and buy it right when it comes out. It's great. Take your family. It's a fun movie. There are some scenes that I'm like, ooh, that's kind of dark, but yeah, it's great. Spoiler review coming soon. Until then, Spider-Man away! Oh crap, have it. I'm not supposed to swing on this. Huh. That's not right. I could have sworn I could swing on that. No? Ah! No, it's not there either. Perspective shot.